Welcome back to College One. As promised, today's video is about how to choose whether or not you should work while you're in college and how much to work. Now, disclaimer, I do realize that this is sort of a privileged question. There are a lot of expenses that come along with college, and so not everyone can just decide not to work. So if that's you and there are a lot of people, don't feel alone, don't feel like you've made bad decisions, then maybe this video isn't for you. But for those of you that might have a little bit of luxury about whether or not to work, I'm going to give you my personal opinion on this and what I think your best choices are. The first thing I'm going to say is if you can avoid it, don't work your first semester or even your first year at college. The reason for this is that you're already going to be learning so many new things while you're at college for the first time. You might be doing all your new schedule that's going to be a little erratic. You have to wake up yourself on time. You've got to do your homework on your own schedule. You've got to figure out how to balance your social life and your sleep. You might be cooking for yourself for the first time if you don't have a meal plan. You're trying to make new friends, join new clubs, decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life. There's a lot of things going on. And if you add in a job 15 to 20 hours a week, especially if it's a job you don't enjoy, that's just an added stressor and your grades are going to suffer because of it. Now, grades aren't everything. You don't have to be a 4.0 student to make the most of college or get the best jobs. But if your grades slip too much because of the time and energy you have to dedicate, it might impact your ability later to get scholarships, to get good jobs, to improve your resume. Especially this first semester is really important. At least the way my school worked is that scholarships were evaluated after your fall semester. And so let's say you come into college with a scholarship or you don't. After your first semester is when they'll look at your GPA and decide if you qualify for a scholarship for the following school year. So if you have a scholarship or you're trying to get one and you decide to work a job paying you $9 or $10 an hour, but you lose out on a scholarship that could get you $10,000, it really wasn't the best choice for you. Another reason why choosing to work might penalize you when it comes to grades and schooling is what if you work and in order to keep up your grades, you have to take one less class per semester. So that means, let's say you're doing 12 credits instead of 15 credits. Well, that means you're probably going to have to go to school for one more semester or even one more year to finish. You might take 5 years to finish your degree. Or if your degree was already one that a lot of people do in 5 years, it's going to take you 6 years to do. And you might say, okay, that's fine if I'm working and paying off my loans or not taking out loans, so it'll be okay. This is where opportunity cost comes into the mix. Once you graduate and you're working full-time, hopefully you'll be making at least $45,000 a year. I explain why in this video over here. But assuming you're making $45,000, or depending on your major, you can expect to make $60,000 or $70,000 or $80,000. Imagine going to school one more year doesn't just cost you $15,000 or $20,000 of tuition. It costs you the $70,000 or $60,000 or $50,000 or $45,000 that you could have been making, plus the money you're spending. So depending on your major, that part-time job that is going to help you take out $5,000 or $10,000 less dollars in student loans your freshman year or any of the years is going to cost you so much money in the long term. So again, if you feel like this is going to delay your graduation, and especially if you're in a high-income field, then maybe just go ahead and plow through school and aggressively pay off your loans later if you can. All right, break time. What's the difference between a centipede and a millipede? All the features. If you've enjoyed this video or my dumb jokes, click the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you can't stand my puns, then subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, and make sure you come back to every single video to let me know exactly what you think of them. So again, that advice was mostly for freshmen. Avoid working if you can. In later years, I highly suggest working. For one thing, it helps you keep down your debt. I'll post a link to my video here, but I explain, if you remember, that for every $1,000 in student loans you borrow, you have to pay $8.50 per month for 15 years, assuming a given interest rate. So if you can avoid taking out loans by working part-time, it'll save your budget in the future for many years to come. It also is a great opportunity to build your resume, especially if you can get relevant work by working in a professor's lab or getting an internship in a field that's related to your degree. Then it is a huge boost, especially because, as I'm sure you guys have heard, it's kind of a cyclical thing where you have to have work experience to get a job, and so the sooner you can break into your field, even with a simple part-time job as maybe an administrative assistant at the right kind of place or a lab assistant, a very low-level position, it will help you in the future attract better positions and be that much more ahead of your peers. Another way it builds your resume is it shows you know how to juggle priorities. I know a lot of people who maybe got a 4.0 because all they did was focus on school, school, school. And in the real world, at any job, even though you might say, well, I'm at work, so I just have to worry about work stuff. Well, at work, you might be juggling 3 or 5 projects, and you have to understand about urgent and important and what the difference is and how to make those decisions and prioritizations. So by working during school, even if it's not in your chosen field yet, it shows that you have that discipline and that thought process for learning how to prioritize. The last thing I'll say is that working while you're in school helps you build good financial budgeting habits. I'll admit that I myself was and still am sort of a binge spender. All through high school and for a lot of college, I worked during the summer, saved as much money as I could, and then spent it throughout the year. And so that gets you in a habit of, well, make a ton of money and then spend money as you need. If you have money coming in every single month, and then you can build a budget and try and keep to that budget, which is a great habit. It also lets you save a little more, or in case of emergency, you've got money coming in, and you don't have to just pull from your savings alone to cover any emergency costs you might have. So again, just to reiterate, avoid working your first semester or entire freshman year if you can. Focus on school, doing well, learning what you want to do and what works for you. In later years, definitely work and try and get something relevant to your field if you can. Again, I know this might be a privileged question for those of you who working in college isn't a question at all. I wish you the best of luck. I know you can succeed. I know you can do well. Because of it, you're going to be so much more mature in your time management skills and juggling priorities than your peers, and it will make you better for it. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of College 101. If you missed my last video about my favorite jobs in college, I'll put a link to them right here so you can go back and watch those and maybe get some ideas for what jobs you can work while you're in college that will give you downtime, great pay, or something you love. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.